Okay, this is a first. I'm gonna do a video in the middle of a thunderstorm, um, which is appropriate because it's a very stormy situation with the Vikings right now. I've never seen it this bad as it is right now with some of this fan base. Um, you know, it's gotten bad. There've been bad times. Um, Obviously, anytime you lose to the Packers, it's bad, and it's been bad after Bear games and bad after playoff losses. I've never seen it quite like this, to the point where, just me personally, I was getting fucking roasted all night last night. Anytime I was posting anything that was even in the slightest defense of Mike Zimmer or Kirk Cousins. And it is now hailing as I am in the middle of doing this video. That was unexpected. Um, wow. Okay. No. I'm sure that was Kirk Cousins' fault too that it hailed. Um, I already kind of did I know I did a video the other day that was game preview, but also kind of just a defense of Mike Zimmer, so I'll kind of just not repeat that. But we have to talk about this Cousins situation. It's so out of control right now. These people are nuts, and this isn't just fans. This is media too. I mean, you know, for the I don't know why I even bothered doing it. I basically just listened to Score North podcast where it was just nonstop, single-minded. Cousins is basically, they call him the devil. I mean, it's wild. It's wild how hated this guy is in this town. And I get, come off 2017, you almost go to the Super Bowl. You know, you think, okay, I never bought into it as like, oh, Cousins is the final piece and we're guaranteed to win the Super Bowl. I did pick us to win the Super Bowl the next year, but it wasn't just because of Cousins. It was because the whole roster was good. And, that didn't work out. And it didn't work out last year, and it sure doesn't look like it's going to work out this year. It's not just like, oh, you sign the guy, and if he doesn't win you a Super Bowl, it's the biggest mistake in the history of the NFL. Like, even after yesterday, and I know this is kind of, this may just be a futile attempt to defend Cousins, because you can't defend Cousins for a lot of people, or from a lot of people, and especially after a game that was probably the worst one he's played with the Vikings. It could be considered bad timing. I'm still going to do it because guess what? Kirk Cousins is still a pretty damn good quarterback. He has always been a pretty damn good quarterback. He ain't Patrick Mahomes. I'm not getting into the ranking thing, but he's not at that top elite level. And he's never been that, and he never will be that. It's not about that. People get so hung up on the fucking money. Like, even the fucking podcast I was listening to, like, they keep bringing up the fucking money. The Kirk Cousins contract has not prevented the Vikings from making any moves. It hasn't. The only thing that it's meant, from a standpoint of, roster management, is you couldn't, give just whatever they wanted to some of these other veterans that they cut loose. But again, like the guys they cut loose this year, maybe it won't turn out to be a good decision to let all these guys go. The Rhodes and Waynes and Griffin and Joseph. I don't think any of them were guys that like they desperately wanted to keep. There's one thing we've seen in recent years with the Vikings is if they really want to keep somebody, like they obviously really wanted to keep Dalvin Cook, they will make it work. And, you know, still go back to when they signed Cousins and all the fucking idiots out there were like, oh, we're going to lose everybody now. And then they signed like 5 other players to big extensions like in the months after that. I don't remember which ones. It was Diggs and I think maybe Griffin and a couple others, but Thielen, I think. But like, yeah, Kirk is paid a lot, and he's probably paid more than he should be paid. If it's just on merit, I think he's I don't think he's top 5. He's definitely not top 5 for highest paid quarterbacks. He is top 10. I'm pretty sure. And we've seen him be a top 10 level quarterback. We saw him be that against the Saints. We've seen him be that in quite a few regular season games. Okay, he didn't win us a Super Bowl, and maybe he won't, and maybe this season is just going to be the end for him. I don't know. I don't think so, but it's like, you pay a guy because he's worth the money, and Kirk Cousins has been worth the money. I'm sorry. Like, you can say, oh, he's ripped us off. You're wrong. You're just wrong. He's been a very good quarterback here, way more often than not, for 2 years. And he had a shitty game against the Colts. It was a shitty, shitty game. He got no help from Kubiak or the receivers or the running game or the offensive line. But Kirk also played a shitty game. Okay, he did. He played a shitty game. But these people who insist on making every game, he's played what now? 35 games, something like that, for the Vikings. Every single one of them has been treated like a referendum on his entire life. Doesn't this get exhausting to you people? Like, I know we've been tortured around here as far as quarterbacks, but it ain't. I was gonna say we've had a lot worse, but it's not even that. That would be a mistake to put it that way. We've got a good quarterback. Now he was not good against the Colts. He was up and down against the Packers. Great against the Saints in the playoffs, bad against the 49ers. Like, he's not Patrick Mahomes. If that is your bar, if he has to be Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, okay, then he's never going to live up to what you want him to be. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if any quarterback below that top echelon elite future Hall of Fame quarterback is garbage to you, then I don't know. I can't help you. Because, I mean, that's just an impossible bar. And when we got him, we knew he wasn't that. We knew he was a pretty damn good quarterback, and he has been a pretty damn good quarterback. And I think fans and media in this town are just impossible. They're just impossible when it comes to Kirk. They're so blinded. He signed the contract. Nobody. The thing about the guaranteed money. That was so irrelevant at the time, and it's still relevant today. The only way that would have made any difference is if he had washed out and they'd cut him, and then they'd be on the hook for a bunch of money. But he didn't. He was going to get money anyway. He got it guaranteed, so it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt the Vikings. There's this fantasy now going around with people that if only we didn't have Kirk Cousins on the roster, we would have like the greatest roster in the history of the National Football League. We would just magically have gotten, all pro players at every other position that we didn't already have somebody like a Hunter or Thielen or Cook. Like we would have 5 studs on the offensive line, and we would have, 2 2 stud cornerbacks and stud linebackers and everything. You're not living in reality. And that's, I think, the biggest problem that I have with some of these people, the anti-Cousins crowd, is they don't even argue in good faith. Like, they're just raving lunatics. They are. Like, you can have the opinion that Kirk Cousins is, unworthy of the money, that he's not the guy to lead us to a Super Bowl, that we should, plan more for the future, a future maybe with that where Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback and we get somebody else. But you fucking people don't even listen to the opposite argument. Like, it's just vitriol constantly. And even now, people just bitch about the fucking contract. Like, now they're, it was 2+ years of bitching about the original contract. Now it's on to bitching about the extension. Like, again, I'd like to point out he took a fucking pay cut over the offseason. It got him a little more guarantee money. It extended the deal. This would have been his last year on the original deal. It extended it, and he's got a pretty big salary number in a couple years. But the Vikings can get out of that very easily if they want to, and they could also, rework the contract again. People get so hung up on the contracts, like they've never not made things work around here financially. And if they want whatever they want to do with Cousins after this year, next year, they'll be able to do it financially. It's not a problem. And I don't know, maybe they'll decide, hey, after this year, if it continues to go badly, and whether the offense is good or bad, and they just decide, okay, we're gonna move on from Kirk. Like, they can do that. It's not outrageous to ever consider Kirk Cousins not being the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But like, he ain't the fucking problem right now. He ain't the reason you're 0-2. And again, I have no problem with anything they've done financially with Kirk Cousins. Like, he ain't the reason anything has been done, any sort of financial cuts or anything has been done this offseason. Because again, now, even since he did the second extension, they were able to pay Cook. They were able to bring in Ngakoue, who I believe they will re-sign, or give an extension to. Obviously, the cap will be a little different next year, I think, but they'll make it work. It's like, maybe you don't like Kirk as a person, he's not like, Mr. Charisma or anything like that. Maybe you want him to be like, I guess people want him to be, this rah-rah guy in the huddle all the time. Like, that can work or not work. It's kind of irrelevant. It really is. Like, you don't have to always show a bunch of emotion and stuff, but I guess that's what, I guess people would rather just have, and if you're a quarterback who's got a little more personality, I don't know. And don't get me started on that whole "if I die, I die" thing, which keeps getting brought up a whole bunch now, because that was the misquote of all time. But like, I'm not happy that the season's kind of going south like this either. But, and no offense, but I fucking care about the Vikings a lot more than most of the people who are ripping on Cousins. They're just doing it because it's trendy. Like, they don't give a shit. I give a shit. I give a shit about the team if they do well or not. And I know that Kirk Cousins is not holding us back. He's a damn good quarterback, being utilized very poorly, in my opinion, at the moment by our offensive coordinator and pieces around him. And you can say all you want about, well, he has to be able to overcome that. Most quarterbacks can't overcome these things. I'm sorry, he ain't. Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They're just that good. And Cousins isn't that level, and he never has been, and he never will be. And I didn't expect that. And if you expected that just because of the contract he signed, then you're a fucking idiot, because it doesn't work that way. He got paid what he got paid because that was the market rate for a quarterback like that, hitting the open market like that, at that age and with that track record. So, but I mean, it's. I don't think any quarterback in this town has ever been hated like this. Not Certainly not in the social media era. I mean, I don't know if people were hating on Tarkinen or something when he had a bad game back in the day, but you know, at no point in the time that Kirk Cousins has been here have I been like, oh, I wish the Vikings hadn't done that. Why did we sign him? Why did we extend him? I've never thought that, and I doubt I ever will. I mean, because no offense, but I see things a whole lot more clearly, apparently, than a lot of the people in this fucking fan base do, and the media. I mean, the media. It's one thing with media; they're just gonna go for what's controversial all the time, and hating Kirk Cousins and writing stories and columns about how Kirk Cousins is a piece of shit. That'll get you a lot of clicks and listens and views, and hey, that's capitalism for you. But you know, you know, I wish our fans were better. It's tough seeing, between the Kirk hate, the Zimmer hate, and some of the shit, when they were raging about all the social justice initiatives and all that stuff. I mean, this has not been a very good few weeks for this fan base, And I know there's always, fan bases who are like, oh, the quarterback sucks. Like the saying always goes, the most popular player on a football team is the backup quarterback. But you really want Sean Mannion out there? And we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. Actually, I won't even say it. No, Cousins can't win back the fan base, because at this point, everyone who hates Kirk Cousins has just decided that he's a piece of shit and that they hate him, and nothing is ever going to change short of winning a Super Bowl. And even then, I really don't think it would change. Honestly, if the Vikings had won, say the Vikings had won the Super Bowl this past year, and now this season had started the same way, I think everyone would be saying, Kirk Cousins sucks, he's a piece of shit, let's get rid of him. Because it's just knee-jerk bullshit. I can't stand it. Boy. Be better. Can we just be better as a fan base than to just, be smarter, be nicer? It's just BS that, we have a pretty good quarterback. He might be overpaid in comparison to some other players. I mean, there's guys like Lamar Jackson who I think are still on rookie deals. Okay. Like, yeah, I take Lamar Jackson on a rookie deal over Kirk Cousins, but that ain't the reality. So, and of course everyone then says, "Oh, we got a tank for a quarterback." No, you don't. You don't have to tank for a quarterback, because most of these quarterbacks that everyone salivates over that are in the NFL right now, they weren't taken in the top 5, maybe not even the top 10, maybe not even the first round. Patrick Mahomes was mid-first round, Russell Wilson was 3rd round, Breeze was 2nd round, Brady was 6th round, and on and on and on. There's only a few guys out there who are considered top quarterbacks right now who were taken like number 1 or in the top 5. It's like, I don't know. Now, I feel like that might be a topic for another day, another video. It's no longer storming, that's good. But it's storming in the Vikings fan base, because these people are nuts. And I don't respect you. If you're a Kirk Cousins hater, just know that I don't respect you at all, because I don't believe you know what you're talking about. I just don't. And I don't believe that people argue in good faith. And I think you're so blinded by hatred for this guy for reasons that you don't quite understand, that you look at Kirk Cousins and you see, you see Christian Ponder, I guess. He had a shitty game. Maybe this is ridiculous timing to make a video like this. you know, at, coming off of the worst performance of a guy's career, but all you people want to do is judge a guy like Kirk Cousins at his worst. You know, when he plays great, you always find some excuse as to why he didn't play great, and then when he plays bad, you're like, see, we were right all along. Well, you weren't right all along, you were just right on that one day, but you haven't been right for most of the last 2+ years, so we'll see what happens with the Titan game, and we'll see what happens with the season, and we'll see. Maybe they'll move on from him after the year. It's a respectable idea. If they want to do it, that's fine. But grass ain't always greener, people.